Hey everybody, day two on the trade recap. We had one winner today, which I'll walk over, but we'll kind of just walk through, some of the stuff that happened yesterday. Again, we're using a supply and demand based strategy looking for delta divergences in the footprint chart. My one winner today here was actually right here. I'll walk through kind of why we took that trade. So again, initially this is from trading yesterday. We saw a huge move up from, I think that was the end of the day move, the power hour pump. In my opinion here, I'm going to mark my zone. Again, looking here, see a gap up. Wanted to wait for price to come back and retest that. What did I ended up seeing? Well, on my 10 range chart, so my medium range, we're looking up here, or my smaller range, we saw a strong push up here, creating that gap. And even on that 15, right here as well too, that strong push up. So what did that mean for me? And then even if we're looking on the far right, if you guys can see this, it's a high volume there, so high volume node. I was pretty confident in that. And even looking back, I'm gonna kind of reverse these bars a little bit too, and kind of even walk through that process. If we look at the end of the day yesterday, we're looking at this area down here as a very high volume zone. So I'm like, okay, hey, trades look relatively good. If we get there, looking at the exact entry, again, we're going back to our 12 range chart. We're looking here. Again, we're taking 2.5 points and, stop loss moves to break even and some runners. Here we had that delta divergence, green candle up, showcasing more sellers there. That was my buy signal. Even on the smaller time frame there, let's see where I was at. Saw that structure getting broken here. So we made a push down, kind of made a little shorter term swing high. We ended up breaking that swing high and then breaking up higher. So for me, along with that, the delta divergence got long. Again, really only took 2.5 points. Again, ideally, if I was holding this trade, it'd been nice to be able to take that back up to this level up here. So I've been like, oh, that would have been super nice. I do want to talk about a trade that I didn't take, kind of from the morning session. So there's a zone that was created right here. I'll spread that across all my charts. As you can see, met all the criteria, the spot of where we were at specifically, based out, strong pump up. From the basically overnight session. Looking at that 15-minute chart, where are we? Yeah, looking at the 15-minute chart, very similar candle structure here. And then even on the 10-minute chart, same candle structure. So waiting for price to come back down and possibly pop up. Again, going back to that 12 range here, we ended up breaking down through it, which is a no trade for me. So if you're breaking through that zone, although we did have the delta divergence later, maybe someone could have said, hey, you could have took the mean reversion trade, the fake out. But, I think once prices are accepted lower, then prices could potentially head lower as well, too. So ended up, being that case. So very happy I did not take that trade. One thing I kind of want to mention, and I think is kind of cool. I mentioned this tool yesterday, just, looking at the far right here, trying to find where liquidity is. I think I got to go to where we jump to the real time. So this is what this looks like on the right. Oh gosh, I don't really care. So again, these little gaps here. So again, the way I look at it is and it's pretty interesting. I talked about it yesterday. So yesterday we were, inherently net sellers, in this zone, the 126 to 119. Overnight we were rejecting it here. Sorry, you can't see it on the side. But once we got above it, we then started using that as support to go higher. Interesting enough, we came back down and then found support. I actually had a zone drawn out right here, but it actually, again, wasn't a delta divergence trade, so it ended up actually working out perfectly. We didn't take it. Once my zone is used, I delete it. Kind of similar, one thing I found interesting was that, and this is, I was kind of going through the bar replay, I think. Let's just go right here. We ended up making this breakdown from price, pretty strong in the morning, and kind of created some sort of a zone here. Sellers were in control there. Just jump forward. We were kind of jumping around for price. I didn't have a strong setup on my individual range chart, but almost to a T. You see, we come back into that liquidity zone where sellers were in that gap there, and price ended up breaking down. So I'm going to continue using that as kind of another way to, find different trades. It's high volume, liquidity gaps, so, when we ended up coming to that real-time chart here, like, interesting enough, we bounced here. And now, like, what I think would be interesting to see is that, coming Monday overnight session, or Sunday night, I should say, do we build liquidity here and pop up? Well, my next area that we could possibly reverse here would be this 6-140 zone. If we're looking at it on my actual range charts, like, I'm going to delete my old stuff on here. Actually looking at the 6-140 zone, like, I don't really have a strong setup. Again, I like looking for the 3 base and drop and look for that confluence on all my time frames. But, if we ended up coming up to the 640 zone and really, kind of consolidating and actually popping lower, I'd be really, that would inherently be a good trade. For myself, I'm kind of long biased. If we look at the overall market, if we look at it on let's say on a daily chart, we're continuing to head up higher here. So, I'd be looking for pullbacks to buy long. But specifically there, I think I should go back here. Sorry, that's my last little thing. I'm using the 5-minute chart just because it shows a little bit more zones and entries. But again, if we can build liquidity around here, I think I have a zone at 115. Build around here and continue to push up. I'm totally buying dips in here if I get that delta divergence, and possibly taking these trades back up to that 6-140 zone. Again, that's where my runner would be, taking profit at 2.5 points. Stop loss moves to break even, and I'm trading micros, so I let that go. But think it's a good strategy. I'm really happy with today. But I'll see you guys next time.